Hey guys, before we start the actual video, I want to mention that this video is sponsored by Saved by Christ Apparel. And they actually made the shirt I'm wearing. Now, Saved by Christ Apparel is a Christian organization and they create apparel for you to be able to show off your faith and possibly evangelize a little bit. So I just want to quickly go through some of their stuff and show you how easy it is to purchase via their site. So we're gonna go to I went to all collections, but you can just go to savedbychristapparels.com. That is perfectly fine. You can see I just did that. And it's just showing you all the various things that they have to offer. Like, I got this blessed shirt. That's one of the things I got. I'm going to quickly go through and show you. We're going to do the beach sand cross bracelet. We're going to add it to cart. And if you use my discount code, you get to save some money in the process of getting this. So we're going to go checkout. We're going to enter discount code TylerMoore614. Apply it, and there you go. Discount 15% off any purchase. So that's a great deal. Now, like I said, this is one of the shirts that they offer. I have another shirt right here. God is fighting for us. Now, I think this is very comfortable to wear, and I think it's a great way to kind of show off your faith and get people talking, which I think at the end of the day, it's a great way to evangelize. For God told us, "Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to do all that I have commanded you." So, this is one of the ways that I can do that. I'm going to put the link down below, as well as my discount code. Please, feel free to go get some stuff. Use my discount code. Save yourself some money and rep your faith. Now, on to the video. Thank you guys. God bless. Hello and welcome to another brand new video right here on the channel. It's time for, once again, a Let's Chat today. Please do make sure to check out today's sponsor, Saved by Christ Apparel. I'm actually rocking my blessed shirt today, which I wear these shirts like all the time. So please do make sure to check out Saved by Christ Apparel, and make sure to check out next week's sponsor, which is going to be fun. I'm going to definitely be talking about that next week. But today, I wanted to do a Let's Chat, and I want to continue in the hashtag Fix Madden franchise campaign. Last week, I spoke a lot of the why. Why is this campaign happening? Why do we want change? This week, it needs to be more about what. And I do encourage you guys to do what I am doing. I am using that hashtag all the time over on Twitter. Hashtag Fix Madden Franchise. You can find all my social medias up top. I'm also using hashtag Boycott Madden 21, as I have made the decision to boycott Madden 21 in advance of what it did with franchise. And now, before I go into the what, I do have to kind of clarify. I know that there's not going to be a lot of change for Madden 21 at this point. They're already in beta testing at this point. Yet somehow they put in the Yard, a brand new mode. And last year they put a new mode in after launch called Superstar KO for Madden 20. But I'm not expecting a lot with Madden 21. Where I come to expect a lot is the next Madden, Madden 22. Which hopefully will have a lot more with franchise. I'd like to see some small changes for Madden 21. Find some things to appease the fan. But there's a lot here that they've been ignoring fans for a long time. And I'm going to start by going into a website, fix.maddenfranchise.com. And every day this website posts a brand new thing that used to be in Madden a long time ago, especially franchise mode, but it has kind of disappeared in recent years, or since they switched gens. And I kind of want to go over this because some of this stuff is what was on my list, like the Tony Bruno show. It was an in-game radio show. It talked about some of the highlights of the week, some big news within the NFL, within your franchise. It was a nice contrast to having the newspapers that I believe were present during it too. Then they had the studio-based halftime show, which was Madden 10, which it's nice to have like highlights and everything within your franchise. Like, and it could talk about the other games going on within the league. Now, one of the big things that I want is listed as day 3, which is positional coaches. Offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and special teams coach, which I know at the very least was in like Madden 08, Madden 09 during that time. You had the coordinators. You could hire and fire coordinators. And at this point, I'm not willing to settle for just that. At this point, you've had so much time to expand on all of that. I'm not expecting, when you come out with this, hopefully next year, I'm not expecting offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and special teams. I'm expecting positional coaches, line coaches, defensive back coach, quarterback coach, all this. This was they had full positional coaches in the game that went out with Madden. NFL head coach and NFL head coach 09. I have played both of them, and both of them had full positional coaches. So it's time that we start really stepping forward. Like, I remember playing Madden way back when. I would bring in Rex Ryan as a head coach, Rob Ryan as my defensive coordinator, back when I actually thought Rob Ryan was actually good at his job, before I realized the truth. Sometimes I brought in frickin' Bill Belichick to be one of my coordinators, which, not realistic, but he ended his contract with the Patriots, although it wasn't Bill Belichick, it was New England coach. He ended his contract with the Patriots, and I brought him in as a coordinator. Like, all of this different things, and they've had the opportunity to bring these type of things in, but haven't. Exterior shots of fans, cars, building atmosphere, and hype. That's something interesting. It just kind of builds the atmosphere of where we're at. Select your own preseason schedule. I don't really... That's one of the things that I'm not particularly crazy about. I don't need to have that. It's something nice for sure. But I don't really do much with the preseason at this point anyways. And so let's go into something that I do want for preseason. Position battles. I think position battles is something very important to have. And it's something, they used to have them. They used to have a screen telling you where positional battles were happening. Except I want to build on what they had. Back then they did not have like stats on what they're doing in preseason or anything. I want a legitimate position battle screen. So I can go from there and say, you know what? I like what this person's doing better. Let's start him and see where we go. That is on day 7. And it was in Madden 06, that one. There's the College All-Star Game, pre-draft, which is a nice way to kind of draft and see how these players can do in game rather than just looking at a screen. Overall, we need a scouting overhaul. Like, the way scouting is done is kind of a mess right now. I think we should be able to attend the combine and see, like, how these players perform, especially players that you're specifically interested in. Because the way it works right now, you just get told, like, a couple ratings and the specific stat lines from the combine. I want more. The College All-Star Game is a great way to kind of see in-game how these players are doing, because you don't get to see them play at all. So, we need a lot more in terms of scouting, especially towards the draft. I'm not even a draft guy, and I'm calling for so much more when it comes to pre-draft stuff. So I can get a better idea of who I want to draft and all that. And another thing in that regard is something that would be really nice would be having, since you have all these experts on your game to talk about stuff on the Twitter that you guys have on there, why not have them also have mock drafts? Have one to three mock drafts, even more if you're able to. It kind of shows where they think each team will go, and also talk about where we might go. That way, I can say, oh, this player is getting drafted a couple picks ahead of me, according to these experts. I want to trade up and beat that. That allows a more immersive experience. Free agent preferences and how your team ranks against them. And a lot of what that is talking about is, for instance, how different things play into it. Do they like your coaching philosophy? Your coordinators and position coaches that affect these players? Do they get along with them? Do they have history with them? Do they fit in with their philosophies? What about location? Weather? Is it all about the money for them? Right now, you only get points. And it's all based on money and everything. And the contract system in general is just horribly screwed up in franchise mode. And that is, the way they do contracts needs to be completely overhauled. But free agency, it's all about the money in free agency on Madden, and there's nothing else that ties in. You could have team loyalty or team rivalry that makes a player go somewhere and not go somewhere. There's so much that you can do with free agency that is kind of being ignored when it comes to Madden franchise. Listing the stats and the teams that they play for on every player's profile, that's something that was in, as it says, Madden 04. This was a great mode. This was a great feature because you kind of got a history of where they played as well as where they played. Like, did they play better in the warmer states? Did they play better in the colder states? What kind of system did they work best in? What did they have for coaches? All of this different information that you don't get right now, because all that it shows is year by year stats, and even then it's not a given that they're going to show year by year stats for years that aren't in game. That's still kind of something where sometimes it appears and sometimes it doesn't. It's like it doesn't really give you an expansive and immersive experience. Hidden ratings include their overall for draft players. I'm going to guess what that meant is the fact that you had to kind of practice them and work them out to kind of see what they actually are. That would be my guess. I mean, I don't really care either way on that. Career best stats in a player profile. restricted free agents, which was in 2004, 2005, which is something that is a thing in the NFL, and they've kind of taken it away and just put regular free agents. The opportunity to rehire retired players, not necessarily rehire, but hire retired players as an assistant or head coach. That was something that was definitely available back when the Madden was on PlayStation 2. I remember getting to do this back when we were allowed to have offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators. And it was a really nice thing. It got to kind of let you bring in all these different players that you got to see play within the game and let them coach. And on that same thing, when they had these coaches within Madden franchise, they had coach ratings. And that's something very important to bring back too. Like how they did with offense, running back, wide receivers, quarterback, defensive backs, all these different things, their philosophy. It gave you a whole look into who that coach was, so you could get a better idea of whether or not you want to hire them. And I think what they should bring in is also an interview process and allow you to interview and even hire people that are offensive coordinator or assistant coaches with other teams, whether it be offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, position coaches. Allow them to interview with you for a promotion, whether it be head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. I think that's a wrinkle that's been waiting to be brought in for a long time. That's something I have been waiting for a long time to kind of bring in, and allow your coaches, for your coaches to have that opportunity too, and you get asked, hey, are you okay with these guys being interviewed? Do you approve it? Like, all these different things are making more immersive experience that Madden has kind of been lacking in the past few years. And I do want to quickly mention another video that I watched today. It is Tuesday right now, so it'll be yesterday by the time this video releases. But this video was made by that franchise guy. And I love watching his videos, but this time, this guy went through Madden franchise, did a little over a full year in franchise, and just pointed out all the fallacies within franchise and where problems are and what fans are looking for a bit more. It was like a 25-minute video. I will link it down below for you guys to go check out, but I really enjoyed it, and I have more suggestions for what they should implement too on my phone here. So, commentary and graphics that relate to the season. So, to create a more immersive in-game experience when you're playing the games in franchise, I think it should do a better job of showing the leaders and talking about the leaders of a specific stat. Who's in the running for MVP if it relates to the players and the teams. Here's what the playoff picture looks like, and have the commentary relate to all this. Hey, this guy's coming up on a milestone or a record within the league. All of that should be something that should be immersed into the graphics and commentary within franchise. I already talked about full coaching staffs, which were in Madden 08, NFL head coach, interviews, which their answers for the interview, you ask the question, you kind of get a transcript basically, or you can select a couple questions to ask them, and their answers are going to be based on personality and tendencies as well as their specialties. Is this guy a quarterback guy? He's probably going to talk more about quarterbacks rather than a running back or a defensive back. Allow people to interview coaches currently on other teams. The coaching carousel. which was introduced in NCAA football 2012 and ran in that series until it was discontinued with NCAA football 2014. I'm actually playing right now on my personal time NCAA football 2012, and I'm playing in the coaching carousel. Now, the coaching carousel would be great. I've always said that it would be cool, even if you can't start as a position coach, like how it normally would run within the NFL, allowing you to be a offensive or defensive coordinator goes a long way. You help with the scouting for that side of the ball rather than the recruiting that is done in the college game. You help with all the play calling, the defensive game planning, trying to upgrade the players on your side of the ball. And if your team does well, especially your side of the ball, you could receive interview offers or just coaching offers even for other teams, whether it be the same position or a higher position. Ever since NCAA football introduced that feature within their game, players have been calling for the coaching carousel. And that's since 2011. NCAA football 2012 came out. 2011. So that's 9 years now that players have been calling for this feature. And nothing has kind of happened on that front. And, I mean, I personally can't stand the way it works right now where you're right away get head coach in franchise. And if you create a different coach, they automatically are head coach too. And so on and so on. And you see all these news headlines. Oh, I don't know about so-and-so going to the guy who's never coached before in his life on the Twitter feeds within the game. Like, let's make it a little bit more realistic. Allow the coaching carousel to kind of create a better experience for the player. And in that regard, fix coaching contracts, please. Like, as a coach, I shouldn't be receiving an extension at the end of the year for another 3 years and have no way to either accept or decline. Like, in franchise, I like to kind of switch it up. If I'm doing well, I'd like the opportunity to not be with my team without asking for a release. Like, I'd like for my contract to run up so that I can try my hand with a different team. That's a lot that they can do with that. Something that they used to have was expansion teams, especially the create a team feature within the game. I would love to see that make a comeback, especially because I used to be in one of those teams. A friend of mine, I used to play football, pickup football back in high school, and a little bit in college too. And one of my buddies made a team out of all of us that played. And we were inserted into the game, create a team mode, make all these players, and play with this team within franchise. Like, I think they even removed, within the past year or two, the option to relocate in your franchise. Which, they're removing, like, a lot of these different things that make franchise fun. Like, franchise used to be so much fun. I already talked about mock drafts. So player career mode. If you play as a player within the league, when you retire, you should receive the opportunity. Since it's connected franchise, you should have the opportunity to transfer your player into a coach. Same like facial features and everything. You don't have to recreate them exactly as it is. And the face stays the same and everything. And you get the opportunity to coach with that player. That goes along with something I said earlier. Off the field incidents and actual locker room problems and personalities to the scenario engine. Like, the scenario engine is pretty lame as it stands. Off the field issues happen all the time. I just look at what happened last year with Antonio Brown. Or I think Kareem Hunt also had an off the field issue and everything. The Jets had a player who got arrested. Like, all these different things happen off the field, and you have to kind of manage. You should be able to manage all that and decide, you know what, this guy's causing too much trouble. Let's get rid of him. And that should also play into what you pay them. Hey, you're causing a lot of problems. You're going to lose money that way. Like, all these different things. Locker room problems, too. The chemistry within the locker room. Like, right now, the worst you get is, oh, I want some more ball. You don't get it, you don't get it. It doesn't really make a huge difference. There's so much that they can do in this regard. Let's see. Oh, scouting reports. So, this is something really cool that I think would work very well. You could utilize email or text messages, whatever you want, and get scouting reports on the upcoming opponent each week, rather than the scenario engine comments from your offensive defensive coordinator that you don't even get to pick, saying, oh, this team has a superstar. How about if re-implementing the hot cold streaks that Madden used to have, as well as sending me a scouting report on who's doing well, who's not, the team record, who might be a sleeper player for them, injury reports, some big stats that they're having. This creates a more comprehensive pre-game experience, so you know what to look for, rather than, oh, okay, let me go through 7 different screens to kind of figure out what I'm looking at for this team. This is especially important as you get further into franchise. You're like 6-7 years in, and everything, the NFL is completely different. Realistic play calling within games, and that might be something that they're actually implementing in the very near future. They could actually do this, affect the AI for Madden 21 and do this. But my last Madden franchise video, I went on a full-blown rant because my team was down a little bit and was running with 2 minutes left in the game. Like, that makes no sense. Create a team, legitimate position battles, local paste newspaper rather than the Twitter feeds, as well as the national newspaper. You could even incorporate a draft newspaper. They incorporate draft news. A list of all the retirements within the league. I hate not knowing who retires, especially from my team, especially if they don't show up on the Twitter feed. In MLB The Show, at the end of the year, you get a little screen that pops up after postseason's done that lists every person who is retiring. It also tells you who's going into who's getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. And those are 2 great screens that I think would be helpful, especially if I don't know someone retired. How can I just think, oh, okay, I gotta replace that position? That's a huge problem within this game. And the final thing that I am going to personally mention in this video is trade logic. You saw it in my franchise, which I'm going to start, I think next week I'm going to start putting more franchise videos up here. But you saw it in the franchise where I went off on the trade logic. It's been discussed throughout Madden franchise players how bad the trade logic is within Madden. That needs to be fixed. Like, it was mentioned in that franchise guy's video that came out today. Once again, the link will be down below. He tried to trade for a team was like 2-6 or something, and they had no hopes of going anywhere. They had a couple cornerbacks that were on their final year, probably most likely not coming back. They weren't going to make an impact for that team. And he's like, okay, let's trade for a cornerback. Puts a first round draft pick up for a aging veteran. Each of them were in their 30s. On the last year of their deal, on a team that was like 2-6, guy offers a first round draft pick. All 84 was the highest rating, by the way. First round draft pick, and neither of it gets done. The trade logic needs to be fixed. So much needs to be fixed within this game. I love Madden. I've always loved Madden, but I can't do this anymore. I am not willing to shell out $60 for a game that just repackages the previous year's game. I want a more immersive franchise experience. I want a lot more. Madden developers, I seriously hope you watch and listen to this video, because I'll tell you what, the concerns that I voiced today, the desires that I voiced today, most of them have been being talked about for many years by franchise players. And franchise players are your core. A lot of the people who post on YouTube and everything, they're franchise players. They'll do some online stuff too, yes, but they also do franchise. And they're calling for severe changes. They're calling for boycotts. And they're part of the hashtag Fix Madden franchise movement. Please start listening to us. I'm so glad you released a video and said, hey, we're working on some stuff. But that's not enough. Tell us what we can expect both this year and next year. Tell us your roadmap, your plan. Show us that you're actually trying to make strides towards what we want and what we've been asking for. And to everybody who watches this, please go on Twitter and start using the hashtag #FixMaddenFranchise. And also, if you're going to boycott like me, #BoycottMadden21. I'll see you guys tomorrow for a brand new original song.